You said you'd start tomorrow. Tomorrow became next week. Next week became another year. Enough. 2026 is not listening to your excuses. It doesn't care how tired you are. It doesn't care how unfair it feels. Either you change or you stay exactly where you are, not slowly, not comfortably, completely. Because excuses don't protect you. They trap you. 2026 doesn't need another version of you that tries. It needs the version that executes. Let's be honest. Excuses sound smart. They make failure feel reasonable. They protect your ego while stealing your future. But in 2026, excuses cost too much. Every excuse delays growth. Every excuse feeds weakness. Every excuse trains your brain to quit early. You don't need more time. You need more standards. You don't need perfect conditions. You need consistency. Life won't slow down for you. Pressure won't disappear. Discomfort won't wait, so you adapt. You wake up earlier. You train when it's uncomfortable. You work when motivation disappears. This is not punishment. This is responsibility. Excuses end when ownership begins. You stop blaming your past. You stop waiting for confidence. You stop negotiating with laziness. You act even when it's messy. You move even when it's hard. Because momentum doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. If you want no more excuses in 2026, the first rule is simple but brutal. Own your situation completely. Not partially. Not when it's convenient, fully. Because the moment you take ownership, excuses lose their power. Most people spend their lives pointing outward. They blame the economy, their past, their family, their age, their lack of support, their bad luck. And while some of those things may be real, none of them change the truth. Your life is your responsibility. Until you accept that, nothing changes. Ownership is uncomfortable. It means admitting that where you are right now is the result of choices, some conscious, some careless. It means dropping the habit of explaining why things didn't work and facing the fact that results don't respond to explanations. They respond to action. When you own your situation, you stop asking, why did this happen to me? You start asking, what am I going to do about it? That shift changes everything. Ownership removes the victim mindset. Victimhood feels safe because it removes pressure. If it's not your fault, you don't have to fix it. But that safety is a trap. It keeps you stuck, powerless, waiting for conditions to improve instead of improving yourself. Owning your situation gives you power back. The moment you accept responsibility, you regain control. Control over your habits, control over your reactions, control over your effort. You may not control the starting point, but you always control the next move. Most people confuse responsibility with blame. Responsibility isn't about beating yourself up, it's about clarity. It's about seeing reality as it is, without sugarcoating or excuses. It's saying, this is where I am. This is what I have. This is what I'll work with. That honesty is freeing. When you stop lying to yourself, your energy stops leaking. You're no longer defending excuses or justifying inaction. All that energy gets redirected into execution. Ownership also means owning your weaknesses, not hiding them, not denying them, identifying them. Weak discipline. Own it. Poor focus? Own it. Inconsistent habits? Own them. Because what you own, you can improve. What you deny controls you. This is where growth starts. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop expecting support. You stop hoping for perfect conditions. You understand that nobody is coming to save you. And that's not depressing. That's empowering. Owning your situation forces maturity. You realize that complaining doesn't change outcomes. Venting doesn't build strength. Only action does. You begin measuring your days by what you did, not what you felt. Your standards rise. You stop tolerating laziness in yourself. You stop accepting repeated mistakes. You stop negotiating with habits that sabotage your progress. Ownership creates accountability, even when no one else is watching. It also sharpens decision-making. When you know the consequences belong to you, you think differently. You choose more carefully. You act more intentionally. You stop drifting and start directing. Ownership turns obstacles into instructions. Instead of seeing problems as proof that you can't succeed, you see them as feedback. Information. Signals pointing to what needs adjustment. Every setback becomes a lesson instead of an excuse. This mindset is rare. That's why so few people break free from average lives. They want change without responsibility, growth without discomfort, progress without pressure. But the moment you fully own your situation, you separate yourself from the majority. You stop comparing timelines. You understand that someone else's success doesn't delay yours. You stop envying. You start building. Ownership keeps your eyes forward instead of sideways. In 2026, ownership means no more hiding, no more blaming circumstances, no more explaining your lack of progress, no more waiting for permission to improve. You take responsibility for your mornings, for your habits, for your effort. And once you accept full ownership, excuses no longer fit because you've replaced them with action. If 2026 is going to be the year of no more excuses, then motivation must be removed from the equation. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes based on mood, comfort, and emotion. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It asks what needs to be done. Most people wait to feel ready. That's why they stay stuck. Discipline means moving forward, even when you feel tired, bored, or unmotivated. It means showing up when there's no excitement and no external reward. That's where real change happens. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. Motivation depends on inspiration. Discipline depends on commitment. When inspiration fades, as it always does, only discipline remains. If your progress depends on motivation, your progress will be inconsistent. Discipline creates consistency, and consistency creates results. Discipline is built through small, repeated actions. Every time you do what you said you would do, you reinforce self-trust. You teach your brain that your word matters. That internal trust is more powerful than confidence. Confidence fluctuates. Self-trust compounds. Discipline also removes decision fatigue. You don't wake up wondering whether to train you train. You don't debate whether to work you work. Your routine becomes automatic. When habits are automatic, excuses have nowhere to enter. This is why discipline feels restrictive at first. Your mind resists structure. It wants comfort and novelty. But structure is what creates freedom. When your days are organized, your progress accelerates. Chaos drains energy. Discipline preserves it. Discipline is not about being extreme. It's about being consistent. You don't need perfect days. You need repeated effort. Showing up at 70% every day beats showing up at 100% once a week. Discipline values frequency over intensity. There will be days when discipline feels heavy. That's normal. Growth isn't supposed to feel easy. But every difficult day you complete builds resilience. You begin to see discomfort as a signal of progress, not a reason to stop. Discipline also requires sacrifice. You will say no to late nights, no to distractions, no to habits that feel good in the moment but steal from your future. Each sacrifice strengthens your ability to delay gratification. This is where most people quit. They want progress without inconvenience. But discipline demands trade-offs. You exchange comfort now for freedom later. That exchange is always worth it. Discipline sharpens focus. You stop chasing everything. You choose what matters and commit to it. Energy stops being scattered. Effort becomes directed. Results become visible. When discipline becomes part of your identity, excuses disappear. You no longer see discipline as something you do. You see it as who you are. You don't negotiate with laziness because it doesn't align with your standards. Discipline also stabilizes emotions. You stop riding emotional highs and lows. Your actions become steady regardless of mood. That stability creates reliability, and reliability creates respect, both from yourself and others. In 2026, discipline is your advantage. While others wait to feel inspired, you execute. While others quit when it gets hard, you continue. While others explain, you produce. Discipline doesn't guarantee instant success, but it guarantees progress. And progress, compounded daily, becomes transformation. This mindset rewires how you approach life. You stop asking, do I feel like it? You start asking, what's required? And once that shift is made, excuses no longer make sense because discipline has taken their place. If you want no more excuses in 2026, you must remove distractions with the same seriousness you remove threats. Distractions are not harmless. They are silent thieves. They steal time, energy, focus, and momentum slowly enough that most people never notice until years are gone. The modern world is designed to distract you. Notifications, Endless content, opinions, comparisons, comfort on demand. None of it is accidental. Every distraction pulls your attention away from the one thing that actually changes your life. Focused effort over time. You cannot build a focused life with a distracted mind. Most people aren't lazy, they're overstimulated. Their attention is constantly fragmented. They start something, switch to something else, and never go deep enough to see results. Shallow effort creates shallow outcomes. Removing distractions starts with honesty. You must identify what is pulling you away from your goals. Not what sounds productive, but what actually moves the needle. Social media, excessive entertainment, meaningless conversations, constant checking, emotional drama, all of it costs you more than you think. Distractions feel small in the moment. 5 minutes turns into 30. One video turns into 10. One excuse becomes a habit. And habits shape identity. That's how people drift years away from who they intended to become. Focus is a skill, and it must be trained. At first, removing distractions feels uncomfortable. Your mind will crave stimulation. It will resist silence. That's because it's addicted to novelty. But discomfort is the withdrawal phase of growth. If you push through it, clarity returns. Silence is where progress lives. When distractions are removed, your thoughts slow down. You become aware of what actually matters. You stop reacting and start planning. You begin executing with intention instead of impulse. Distractions also weaken discipline. Every time you give into distraction, you reinforce the habit of avoidance. You teach your brain that discomfort should be escaped, not faced. Over time, that erodes mental toughness. Removing distractions is an act of self-respect. It's saying your goals matter more than temporary pleasure. It's choosing long-term results over short-term comfort. That choice, repeated daily, changes how you see yourself. Your environment plays a major role. A cluttered space creates a cluttered mind. A noisy environment creates scattered thinking. Removing distractions means designing your surroundings to support focused, clean spaces, defined work times, limited access to temptation. You don't rely on willpower alone. Willpower is limited. Systems are not. When distractions are harder to access, focus becomes easier to maintain. You remove temptation instead of constantly fighting it. Distraction also comes in the form of people. Not everyone who has access to you deserves it. Some conversations drain energy. Some relationships pull you backward. Removing distractions sometimes means setting boundaries without explaining, without guilt. Focus requires sacrifice. You will miss out on some things, some entertainment, some conversations, some comfort. But what you gain is far more valuable: momentum, clarity, and progress. When distractions are gone, effort becomes deeper. You start finishing what you start. You stay with difficult tasks longer. You stop quitting at the first sign of resistance. That depth is where mastery forms. Removing distractions doesn't make life boring. It makes it intentional. You stop being controlled by impulses and start directing your energy. That control creates confidence. Not the loud kind, but the grounded kind. This is why focused people progress faster. They don't do more things. They do fewer things better. Their effort compounds because it's uninterrupted. They build skills, habits, and results while others stay busy without moving forward. In 2026, distraction is a choice. Every time you pick up your phone unnecessarily, every time you avoid the hard task, every time you escape discomfort, you choose delay. But every time you remove distraction, you choose growth. Focus isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. Showing up daily with your attention intact. Protecting your time like it matters, because it does. Once distractions are removed, excuses lose their foundation. Because most excuses are born from avoidance. And when avoidance is gone, action becomes the only option. If excuses are going to disappear in 2026, then comfort has to lose its control over you. Progress is never hidden behind easy tasks. It's hidden behind the things you avoid. That's why the rule is simple and non-negotiable. Do the hard things daily. Hard things create growth. Easy things maintain the status quo. Most people know what they need to do. They just avoid it because it's uncomfortable. Waking up early, training when tired, starting the task that feels overwhelming, saying no when it would be easier to say yes. These moments define your trajectory more than any motivational speech ever could. The hard thing is usually obvious. It's the task you delay, the habit you keep postponing, the conversation you avoid, the discipline you promise yourself you'll start soon. That delay is not random. It's fear wearing the mask of comfort. Doing hard things rewires your brain. Every time you choose discomfort over ease, your mind learns that resistance is survivable. That lesson builds mental toughness. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes normal. That's how standards rise. Hard things build confidence differently. Not the loud confidence that needs validation, but quiet confidence rooted in proof. You know what you're capable of because you faced resistance and didn't quit. That confidence doesn't disappear when circumstances change. Consistency matters more than intensity. You don't need heroic effort once a month. You need disciplined effort every day. Small hard choices compound faster than occasional extreme ones. The person who does difficult things daily will always outperform the person who waits for the perfect moment. Hard things also sharpen focus. When you commit to discomfort, you stop wasting energy on avoidance. Your mind becomes clearer. You know what needs to be done, and you do it. That clarity reduces stress. Even though the work itself is challenging, most people avoid hard things because they associate them with pain. But pain is not the enemy. Avoidance is. Avoidance creates regret. Pain creates progress. When you understand that, your relationship with discomfort changes. Hard things create discipline under pressure. Life will never become easier. Responsibilities increase. Pressure grows. If you only perform when conditions are comfortable, you will always fall behind. Doing hard things daily prepares you for unpredictability. This habit also builds resilience. You stop breaking under stress. You stop collapsing when things don't go your way. You adapt. You push. You stay steady. Resilience isn't inherited, it's earned through repeated exposure to difficulty. Hard things demand presence. You can't autopilot through discomfort. You must focus. You must engage. That presence strengthens mental control and reduces distraction. You become more deliberate with your actions. The discomfort never disappears completely. It just becomes familiar. And familiarity removes fear. You stop seeing difficulty as a threat and start seeing it as a requirement for growth. Doing hard things daily also eliminates excuses. There's no room for "I didn't feel like it" when discipline is installed. You act regardless of mood. That consistency builds momentum, and momentum makes progress inevitable. Hard things force prioritization. You stop filling your day with meaningless tasks. You focus on what matters. You invest your best energy into the most challenging work. That focus accelerates results. In 2026, doing hard things is your edge. While others look for shortcuts, you build capacity. While others quit when it gets uncomfortable, you lean in. While others explain, you execute. This path isn't glamorous. There are no shortcuts, no applause, no instant payoff. But what it builds is permanent strength, discipline, mental toughness. When hard things become routine, excuses collapse. Because excuses survive on comfort. And once comfort no longer controls you, action becomes automatic. Daily discomfort isn't punishment, it's preparation. Intentions feel good. They sound responsible. They make you feel like progress is happening even when nothing is moving. That's why intentions are dangerous. They create the illusion of action without the discomfort of doing the work. In 2026, excuses end when you replace intentions with execution. Everyone has plans. Very few have results. Execution is the only language reality understands, not ideas, not promises, not motivation. Only what you actually do consistently creates change. Until action happens, everything else is. Guys, intentions live in the future. Execution lives now. Most people delay action because they want clarity, confidence, or the perfect moment. But clarity comes after action. Confidence comes from proof. And the perfect moment never arrives. Execution creates momentum, and momentum creates belief. Execution is uncomfortable by design. It forces you to face resistance, mistakes, and uncertainty. It exposes gaps in your skill and discipline. That's why most people prefer planning. Planning feels safe. Execution feels risky. But growth doesn't happen in safety, it happens in movement. When you execute, excuses lose oxygen. You stop saying, "I'll start Monday." You stop saying, I'm not ready. You stop saying, I need more time. You act with what you have, where you are, right now. Execution builds self-respect. Every completed action, even small, strengthens your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who finishes. That shift changes how you show up everywhere else in life. Execution beats intensity. You don't need dramatic bursts of effort. You need daily, repeatable actions that move the needle. Showing up consistently at a manageable pace will always outperform rare moments of extreme effort. Execution also simplifies decisions. Instead of debating endlessly, you choose a direction and move. You adjust along the way. Action provides feedback. Planning without execution provides none. Mistakes are part of execution. Waiting to be perfect keeps you stuck. Executing imperfectly moves you forward. Progress is messy. That's normal. The only real failure is inaction disguised as preparation. Execution creates accountability. Once you act, results good or bad are yours to own. That ownership sharpens focus. You stop hiding behind intentions and start measuring outcomes. That honesty accelerates growth. Execution requires courage. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind. The courage to start without guarantees, to continue without applause, to finish without validation. That courage compounds into confidence over time. In 2026, execution is your unfair advantage. While others talk, you move. While others wait, you build. While others explain, you produce. Execution doesn't need motivation. It needs commitment. Commitment to showing up on days that feel ordinary. Commitment to continuing when results are slow. Commitment to finishing what you start. Execution also demands standards. You define what done looks like, and you hold yourself to it. You don't lower the bar to protect your feelings. You raise your effort to meet the bar. This approach changes your pace. You stop rushing for recognition and start building for durability. You stop chasing shortcuts and start installing systems. You stop reacting to pressure and start applying it productively. Execution turns goals into habits. Habits turn effort into identity. Identity turns consistency into inevitability. And once execution becomes your default response, excuses don't survive. There's no space for them. No justification needed, no debate required. So make the shift today. Let intentions die at the door. Let planning end with action. Let excuses collapse under execution. In 2026, don't tell the world what you're going to do. Show it one executed day at a time. Because results don't come from what you meant to do. They come from what you did and kept doing until it worked. So make a decision, not an emotional one, a permanent one. In 2026, no more waiting, no more explaining. No more excuses. Only work, only discipline, only results. And when the year ends, you won't recognize your old life because excuses won't be part of it anymore.